Maybe the greatest discovery that we can ever make is to realize that God can use just about anyone. I think God can draw a straight line with a crooked stick. The stories of the Bible or the demoniac of the Gadarene, he goes from a crazy man to a preacher. A little boy with a sack lunch feeds thousands of people. Amen. I think that God is just waiting for us to move. And that anything that we give to Him, He can multiply and He can turn it to something better. Whenever I tell a story, I always think of when I'd been saved about 6 months. Our pastor wanted to set up a tent, and he felt like that was going to be the key to revival in Flagstaff, Arizona. And he appointed me to be the electrician. And I went to Kmart and bought a bunch of cords and plugged them in a Miracle of Miracles, and they came on. It wasn't until it rained several days and we'd had sawdust and the ground was soaking wet, half the church got pneumonia, that I realized that I didn't understand anything about grounding. And I really realized it when a friend of mine was preaching and he stepped down into that wet sawdust and began to be electrocuted. It was though the last night that I saw one of the most hysterical and yet powerful things ever. This woman had come up for prayer. It was the last night of the revival. This had been a crazy thing. Far from revival, it had just released insanity, amen, around us. But she had picked the perfect place, and Ronnie went to pray for her. She was in a puddle of water. And as he reached out and touched her, there was this and a flash of light, and she was electrocuted. Well, she screams, "Wah! Wah! I felt it! I felt it!" And she started running all over the church. I'll never forget when she came back. Pastor looked at her. She says, "I've been prayed for by Oral Roberts. I've been prayed for by Kenneth Copeland, but I've never felt the power of God like I did tonight." I have to say, he didn't tell her, well, it was just Arizona Public Service. He said, well, give God the glory. And that's what we need to do. So many things happen that we have no intention, but it's in the movement that God is able to take even sometimes those things that almost don't make sense and use them for something great. I challenge you this week, move. Witness to someone. Tell somebody your story. Amen. It's the easiest thing in the world. Just tell them the mistakes you've made, the changes that have happened, and what God's doing today.